welcome back to my channel. It's Quita here and I'm back with another video. So today we are going to be talking about The Tenant by Freida McFadden. This book just dropped like maybe a month or two ago and I highly recommend this book. It was a really good read. I give it about a 3.8 to a 4 stars, which is a fairly good rating for me. So this book was honestly good. I think that from the beginning to the end, it had you intrigued. There was a slight trigger warning for suicide, but it doesn't really dive deep into it. So you are able to kind of hit it a little bit at the front of the book and then enjoy all the rest. Now, today we're going to be doing this look, just something simple, easy breezy, and we're going to be talking about The Tenant. If you have not read this book and you do want to read this book, please pause, go buy the book, paper or electronic. If you have read the book already, or you're simply not a reader and you want to hear what happened, let's get into it. So first we have Blake. Blake is thriving. He's living in corporate America where he just got a very important new job. And how he got it was the guy before him, he tried to commit suicide by jumping out the window. So it's very important to know that this was a stressful job. But we have Blake. Blake is like, oh, he was a wussy. He didn't get it. I can do the job. I'm the man for the job. Don't worry about it. I got it. And he was doing the job, I think, for about a week. And then he just got fired. Like, they just fired Blake. They said that the reason why he was getting fired was because he sold the company's information to their competitor. And Blake was persistent, like, no, I didn't do it. I don't know what's going on. It wasn't me. And his boss didn't even hear him out. Now, that really hurt Blake because Blake said, well, you know, I thought we were better than that. Like, he should have at least heard my side of it. But baby, they kicked Blake out. Blake didn't have a chance. You hear me? Blake is like, oh my God, what I'm gonna do? But he was like, but you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm the best at what I do. I can get a job like that. Well, his friend, his ex-boss say, no, you're not, because I'm gonna let everybody know what you did and not hire you. And that was absolutely true. Like, Blake could not get a job. Like, all the years he spent, I think he had like 15 years in that field, he could not get a job. The old boss went and told everybody that he sold the company's information, which Blake was persistent that he didn't do that. So eventually, you know, like any normal person, his money started running low. And they said, he was like, I don't know what we're going to do. He was recently engaged to Krista. Krista, she didn't make a lot of money. She worked at the laundromat. So Krista was like, hey, babe, we're going to have to, like, get a tenant. We're going to have to sell out that room, rent out that room up top. At first, Blake was totally against it. However, after a few more months coming around, he's like, yeah, babe, we do have to rent out the room. Well, during this process, they met a lot of weird people. They met this one guy who tried to, like, drill a hole in the wall. They met a woman who was psychic and she went in throwing like salt around, saying that she had to test out the vibe in the house or something of that. During the interaction, when she touched Krista's hand, she was like, oh no, Krista, like, can I talk to you outside? Krista was like, no, you can, whatever you got to say it right here in front of my man, you know. And so she was like, he's going to kill you. Like, she just blurted it out. He's going to kill you. You have to get away from him. And that really left a sour taste in Krista's mouth. Like, why would you say that about him, you know? But she just kind of like told the lady, it's okay. We're okay. Please leave. My man is not going to kill me. You're tripping. Go. It's ultimately what happened. So they eventually meet a tenant. And this tenant, she seemed normal, right? Especially compared to everything else that they were seeing. She had a job at a diner. She was young. She was just kind of in the area. And she didn't have anywhere to stay. She was like living with friends. This girl's name is Whitney. Blake did say that they had to do a background check. At first, she was a little hesitant, but she passed the background check, no problem. She moved in, everything was great. Blake and Whitney became so buddy-buddy that they were like on the couch late night watching TV when they couldn't sleep, and their underwear, just real scandalous. I would never, my man could never, but that's what they were doing. As Krista was upstairs sleeping, they were, chit-chatting. He offered her to, hey, like, you can use my products. You can use my shampoo. You can use my soap. You can use my detergent. Like, if someone's renting from you guys, like, I don't care, like, business is business. She needs to buy her own products, right? And she definitely don't need to be downstairs with my man, period. Well, Whitney ended up using all of Blake's products. She didn't tell him, like, hey, you're out, you need some more soap. None of that. She's just using all of his products. So Blake had to, go get some more. Well, he had to first use Krista's in the meantime, and then go get some more products. Weirdly enough, it was on Blake's mind so bad that he literally stopped at Whitney's job at the diner and told her, like, hey, you used all my products. And it would have been nice if you would have told me that you were going to use that much. Blake could have waited until she got off work. Let's just be real. It was no reason for Blake to go to that girl's job and get that off his chest right then and there. Now, he made excuses in his mind like, oh, well, I'll probably be asleep by the time she gets off, so I have to go there now and tell her. Personally, I think he just liked her and he wanted a reason to go see her. But instead of acting like a normal person that would just step out and cheat, he was finding odd conversations to have with her. And when he came to Whitney's job and said that, oh, she switched, was mad at him. Because you came to my place of employment for what? To tell me about some soap? She got mad. The relationship, all the late night TV conversations and all that was gone. She was no longer messing with Blake. So over the weeks, Blake is still at home. He cannot find a job whatsoever. He's just at home cleaning up and being a good little boyfriend. Well, fiance, right? That's all he's doing. Flies start appearing in the kitchen, and he could not determine where the flies were coming from. He had no idea. He was, of course, at home cleaning all of that. He had nothing else to do. So the house was clean, but it was just flies, like fruit flies exactly, that was everywhere. So he started looking at Krista and saying, hey, babe, I don't know how she's doing it, but Whitney, she's bringing these fruit flies in. So it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Why would the tenant bring in fruit flies? Yeah, you told her about your conditioner being gone, but it doesn't make sense, right? So he was dismissed. Blake eventually gets a temp job. He was very much overqualified for it, but no one else would hire him, and he had his tenant that wasn't bringing enough to cover the entire mortgage, right? And he just got that mortgage for him and Krista. It was very important for him to take care of Krista, his fiance. So he didn't want to lose their house. So he said, something's better than nothing. I'm going to take the temp job here, right? So as he is starting the temp job, he all of a sudden started having like an allergic breakout. Like he is literally trying his best not to scratch in front of the boss and seem weird, but he is just like, he's so itchy. Goes to the restroom and he sees that his entire body is just broke out, covered in red hives. Now he's like, wait a minute, this is the same reaction that I get when I wash my clothes with this certain like citrus scent that he's allergic to. He was like, but I know I haven't done it, and Krista, the fiance, she knows not to do it, so it has to be Whitney. Whitney doesn't know. Let me just inform Whitney about it, right? So he goes and he talks to Whitney about it, but of course, Whitney is so pissed at him that that he came to her job. So Whitney's kind of like, in one ear and out the other. It got to the point where he had to go to the laundromat to do his clothes because he wasn't listening, and his like the breakouts just kept happening until he started going to the laundromat. I think we all can agree that if we're paying, if it's our home, it doesn't matter if she's paying too. If it's our home and I have to go to pay the laundry, I don't care if my girlfriend works there, right? I have to go and be inconvenienced to get my clothes done at the cleaners. Like, you are a problem. You have to go. Blake is looking crazy. He is sweating. He's discombobulated. He has hives everywhere. He's scratching all the time. And he's blaming it all on the tenant. And his fiance doesn't believe that she has a motive to do all of that stuff. She seems so nice and sweet, right? Like, why would she do that to you? Over time, the weird stuff just keeps happening. You got his fiance, Krista, she found a shirt, one of his shirts, because again, she's taking his clothes to the cleaners. She found lipstick on his shirt, and so he was like, oh no, I'm definitely not cheating. So that had to be old girl, like the tenant, she's doing this. So again, she's like, no, I've never seen her wear lipstick. She's a pretty casual girl, which she was. Whitney was very casual. She didn't wear much. She didn't dress up. She didn't do makeup and all of that. So she was like, why are you saying that she put this lipstick on you? Like, you're tripping, Blake. He found out where the fruit flies was coming from. Someone had stuffed the like a bag of rotten apples in a very top cupboard. So he was like, oh yeah, she did this. Again, fiance's not believing him. When he found the rotten apples, guess what he did? He threw them onto the tenant's bed. Just threw it on Whitney's bed. Now, imagine you came home from a long day's work. You're tired. You're beat at this diner. And so you go up to snuggle up in your bed and you find that this man has put rotten apples which had maggots and all types of stuff on your bed. I would have been pissed, livid. But it was weird because she didn't even say nothing to Blake. Like, he did that and she didn't say nothing. Now, Blake is really on edge because Blake is like, when is she going to come back for me? I know she's coming. When's she coming? But Whitney doesn't do anything. Like, she flaunted off the lipstick in front of him and his job. She said, yeah, you need to worry about your job not finding out. I'm so swole, guys. I'm hoping this country helps. It's sick. Anyway. And so she was like, you better be worried about your temp job not finding out where you got fired. But as far as them retaliating, she didn't do anything. And he's like a sitting duck, just waiting for everything to blow up. So about 2 weeks later, right, their goldfish dies. Now, it's important to know, they treated this goldfish like it was their child. Like how most people get a dog or something to test run to see if they can handle a child. They got a goldfish. So this goldfish is like their child. Their goldfish dies. And Blake is swearing that Whitney did it. And he also says that he can smell bleach in the fish water. But his fiance, she's like, hey, I don't smell anything. Like, I don't smell any bleach water. Like, you're tripping, right? And so he was like, no, she did it. Please, babe, believe me. They go into their room and she's like, I'm about to go. I'm about to leave. He wants Whitney to pay. He wants Whitney to go down. Now, you may be asking, well, why won't he just kick Whitney out? 2 reasons. First off, he can't afford it. That's just whatever, right? But the second thing is that he, I believe they're like in New York or something with brownstones. He has to give her a 30-day notice, and even then he have to fight it legally. He just can't put her out. And she knows that. She knows that he can't just kick her out. So, you know, she kind of not boo-boo that in his face, but all in all, can't do it. So now Krista's fed up. Krista's like, I'm just going to go ahead and go over to my best friend's house for a little bit for, you know, you can figure this stuff out. I'm not sure what you got going on, but I'm just going to go step away. Give me some time to think. Now, as she goes to pull out her suitcase, guess what's in the back of the closet? Bottles of bleach. It's tucked away behind the suitcases. So she's like, what, Blake? Like, what in the world? And so she's just like, oh no. Blake's like, no, I didn't do that. Whitney did that. Whitney did that. So she's like, no, there's no way Whitney did it because we've been keeping our door locked, you know. Like, how could Whitney have done it and the door's been locked? She was like, yeah, you're tripping. You're walking around the house all sorts of times of the night, saying that you can't sleep, saying that you hear loud stomping that no one hears but you. Whitney saying that she's not doing it. Yeah, I have my earplugs in, but I don't hear stomping either. I would hear stomping, you know. And I just have to get away from you. So, of course, you know, Blake's trying to get his little thing back. He's like, baby, come back home. I promise I'm gonna do better. I promise I'm okay. Like, just come back home to me. So Krista's like, no, you got to figure out whatever's going on over there. I'm good. I'm gonna stay over here. And also, like, during the entire book, Blake has had a neighbor, like this old, disgruntled, grumpy old man. And he's always on to Blake about putting up his trash cans. He is like, they always have a big thing about it. Now, Blake just tries to be respectful. He still tries to be helpful and everything to the old man. But the old man, honestly, he's just disrespectful. So, this particular day, you know, she is leaving. Of course, he's having a breakdown. His fiance's leaving. So the old man's like, hey, you need to put that trash off the curb. And so he's like, picks up the trash can and throws it at the old man. And he misses, but honestly, he didn't intentionally miss. But he did miss the old man, right? So it's like a big debacle in the middle of the street. Neighbors are looking like, oh my God, he's crazy. A couple of days go by and it's time for the trash can to run again. And he's just kind of like, well, that's weird. Old man, the old man neighbor, he hasn't put up his trash can. So he's like, oh, I'm about to rub this in his face. I cannot wait to point out that he didn't put up his trash can. He goes and the old man doesn't answer the door. So now he starts getting worried. Like, wait a minute, you know, he doesn't go anywhere. So his trash can isn't up and he isn't answering his door. So he goes inside of his home and he finds the old man is dead. He has slipped and fallen inside of his bathroom. So he is petrified at this point. He calls 911. 911 comes and questions him. He is just, you know, very upset because he's had to, you know, see a dead body. And even though, you know, he did go with the intent of rubbing it into the man's face, of course, he didn't want to see the man dead. He did text Krista to let Krista know that the old man had died, and he kind of made a joke out of it, like, well, at least I don't have to worry about him complaining about the trash can anymore type deal. Krista, she kind of went along with the joke, but she went right back to not responding. But so things got really upsetting for him, and he just was breaking down like, Krista, please. So Krista finally agrees to see him, and she's like, okay, come over to the friend's house. Her friends interrupt and like, okay, that's enough. Right? So she gives Blake some cookies, and he loved her cookies. Like, he talked about them all the time in the book. So he was just like, well, I'm just gonna have to keep this as a keepsake, right? Now, at this point, he has gotten another bad, terrible smell and flies inside the house. He goes back home. He has to figure out what that smell is. come to find out, he finds a finger. He finds a finger stuffed underneath his refrigerator. Like, and it had pink nail polish on it. And the color didn't look familiar. He didn't know whose fingers it was. It was just weird. Now, at this point, he is supposed to be at work. He didn't say, forget it. I'm not going to work. I'm about to go to town and figure out who Whitney is and why she's doing this to me. Like, I don't remember dating her or anything in the past before, but she's after me for some reason. Why? So he does a little background on Whitney. He finds the high school that she went to, and the high school sounds familiar, but he's never been to her town before. So he's like, I don't know why that sounds familiar, but this town sounds familiar. This high school sounds familiar. He calls up, pretends to be a job person, an employer. He pretends that he's trying to hire Whitney. Now, the lady that's on the phone, the secretary, she's like, I don't know why you would want to hire Whitney. Like, Whitney has like the worst reputation. So he's like, oh yeah, really? Tell me more. So she tells Blake that Whitney is a very, she's a person that holds grudges. She can be very mean, very spiteful. If you do something to Whitney, Whitney will not forget about it. She is going to remember, and she's going to make you pay for it. For example, when Whitney was in high school, her high school boyfriend cheated on her. And Whitney became so upset and so mad that she met with him on the school's roof. That was like their little spot to talk about it. And Whitney pushed him and made it look like it was an accident. She was like, you know, you don't really want this girl at your company. And if you do, you better not piss her off because she will make you pay for it. I hate this. Like, this palette, it has pretty colors in it, but the fallout is crazy. Beautiful colors. Let me show you guys. Beautiful. But the fallout is crazy. So Blake is like, I have no idea who this girl is. A little bit of it sounds familiar, but not enough for me to put this stuff together and say that I did something to her. So let me go to Whitney's hometown and like get her mother involved. Like, I need to find out more about this girl. Maybe, you know, she has a way like to make her stop. So Blake gets to the mom's hometown. Mom isn't at home first, so he just parked outside of her home and he's like just waiting. Again, Blake just seems so crazy right now, but he's waiting outside of her house. He wasn't gonna eat Krista's cookies because, you know, he wanted it as a keepsake for his boo, but he got hungry because he hadn't ate all day, so he had to eat the cookies. Eventually the mom comes, you know, she goes inside the house, he goes inside the home, and she says pretty much the same thing that the secretary said on the phone, was that Whitney holds a grudge. She confirmed that, yeah, I do believe that Whitney killed her high school boyfriend, you know. And she was like, you know, people are trying to say that Whitney's dead, but I know she's not dead. And he's like, I know she's not dead either. I'm praying to her. And she was like, well, the reason why I know she's not dead is because Whitney went overseas or something. You know, that was the last time I heard her. She sent me a postcard. But when I knew that she was back in the States was when her high school's boyfriend, the one again that she's already pushed off the cliff, the girl that he cheated with ended up dead a couple years ago. So she was like, I know that, you know, she's back. She's here in the U.S. And he was starting to feel sick. Like, oh my God, who did I let into my home? She held a grudge that long? You mean to tell me that this is him? Like, you mean to tell me that, or me too, hell, at this point, that this girl, first off, it's a high school, like no one really expect you. Like, every now and then people get looked up and have the high school sweetheart, but the masses don't marry that person, right? So you kill him, and then literally, I think it was like 6 or 8 years later, you go back and kill the girl he was cheating on you with. That is insane, because at that point, you're a young adult and you definitely know that most likely you guys weren't going to last forever, you know. So Blake is just feeling sick right now. He's like, oh my God, can you just please go get me a glass of water? I don't know what could have possibly done, why I got myself in this mess. If I didn't lose my job, I don't know what situation I'm in. Can you just please go get me some water right now so just I can process all of this, right? Because we know Whitney can hold a grudge, right? She was holding a grudge about when he came to her job about the shampoo and conditioner being gone and the soap. Plot twist. As her mother goes and gets the water, he's looking at the family photos. And guess what, y'all? Guess who's in the photos? Krista. So he's like, what in the world? Why is Krista on the pictures? The mom says, that's not Krista. That is Whitney. And that is when it gets crazy and the truth of the book comes out. And I know y'all gonna be like, you said this last time. But y'all, I call this at the very beginning of the book. Literally as soon as Krista recommended they get a tenant, I knew she was going to be the problem. Now, the plot twist behind it, of course, I didn't know that. That had to come to light. But I just knew Krista was going to be the problem. And how I be knowing this stuff, I don't know. And I think that makes it even harder for me to grade thrillers and mystery, because I'm typically going to find out before it's revealed. So this is where part 2 of the book happens, and we get to see Krista's point of view, right? The entire time during Blake's point of view, part 1, he's saying how he would never cheat on Krista, how he loved Krista, she's everything to him, and he would never cheat on Krista. He loves her. He's going to marry her. She is the girl of his dreams. Now, he did flirt with the tenant, Whitney. However, he was persistent that he did not and would not cheat on Krista. Well, from Krista's, aka the real Whitney Cross, perspective, in fact, Blake did cheat on Krista. Blake already cheated on Krista with one of the girls that worked at his job that he got fired from, the secretary. So he already cheated on her. We didn't know that. Like a man, Blake didn't say that part. He just said he never would. Not saying that, oh, he had his fun before they actually got married. He didn't say that part. He left that part out for us. But Krista gave us a tea, and that was that he had slept with the secretary that wore that little skimpy outfits. So Krista found that out one night. He came in the house very exhausted. He didn't want to eat any of the cookies that she had given baked for him, which was weird. Again, he loved her cookies. I don't know why men switch up, right? Like, oh, I'm not we're not smart enough to put it together. That's how they think, right? Both of them gotta pay for what they did to me. So you remember he found some fingers underneath his refrigerator that had pink polish on it. Well, those were the secretary fingers. She had kidnapped that girl. She pretended to be an Uber driver. First she stalked her, got down her daily routine of what she did. She knew she was a party girl. She knew that she went out all the time. So she pretended to be an Uber one night, got the girl to drink a bottle of water that was laced, took her out to the woods and tortured her. She just didn't kill her. She tortured that girl, which is a little sick, but you know how the books go sometimes. So it was some good writing. She tortured her. Now for Blake, she was trying to figure out exactly what she was going to do with Blake. And then one night she was at the diner and she ran across Whitney Cross, because that was her name. And she was wondering, why is this girl, my lips been so ash, y'all, this time. So she was wondering, why is this girl using my real name? And she was so upset She was like, because she liked her name. She didn't want to change her name. She changed her name and was using an alias because she had killed her high school boyfriend and then the girl he cheated with. But she was like, if my name is safe to use, I want to use my own name. So now they both have to pay. So she found out where the fake Whitney Cross was living. She pretty much made that lady put out Whitney. Whitney needed somewhere to stay. She made Blake get fired from his job. And so then she was able to present the idea of them needing a tenant. And when they needed that tenant, she went directly to the diner, put up the posters there, hired some fake people, like the man that drilled the hole, that was a fake application. The lady that, said that she had visions and psychics, that was a fake application. And she told the lady, like, hey, you're overselling it, saying that, he's going to kill me. And the lady was like, no, I'm serious. You have to get out of here. I see him in this apartment on that rug standing over your body. Like, you have to get out of here. And so she was like, nah, he's not gonna kill me. I'm gonna get him before he gets me. It's ultimately her thought process. So all of this time, it was Krista, the fiance, that hid the rotting apples to create the fruit flies because she knew he was a neat freak. It was gonna drive him crazy. She was the one washing his clothes with putting that detergent that he was allergic to in his clothes. What else did she do? Oh my gosh, she did it all. She was the one that called the temp job, telling him that his business about being a rat or a snitch. She was the one that put the red lipstick on his clothes, found it, and even gifted the lipstick to the tenant. And so the poor tenant, she's rubbing it in his face and she doesn't even know. And she also, the biggest thing she did was she was the one that also killed the old man and planted the evidence on Blake. Like, Blake killed the old man, like Blake killed the secretary. She did it all. She did it all. She even the guy that was helping her still like create these fake identities, he was in love with her. Like, he loved her. And so she even took advantage of that, had sex with the man and killed him. Like, she wasn't nothing to play with. She was nothing to play with. So she now, at the end of the book, she had to kill the fake Whitney to frame Blake, to make it seem like he killed her too and killed all these people. So things, of course, there's always a plot twist. It didn't go as planned. She did stab Amanda. That's the fake Whitney. She stabbed her in the stomach, but she wasn't dead. The cookies, now if you read this book, the cookies part blew me, right? Because remember, she gave Blake those cookies, and then Blake ate the cookies outside of her mom's house. Well, the cookies have like a paralyzation. It makes you paralyzed. Blake should have went to the hospital. Instead, Blake drove himself to the apartment. And it's just like, no, like, what help? What? Now, he's already figured out that she has dosed him with something that's paralyzing him. He's already figured that out. Why do you think that you're going to be of help by driving to the brownstone? Like, he dropped his phone down on the floor, but we already know you can call out to that lady and she gonna call who you need, or you can just simply went to the hospital. You could have went to a gas station and told them to call 911 and said, hey, I need some help. You could have did anything. But anyway, he went home, got in a tussle. Amanda ended up having to save his life because, again, she got stabbed, but she did not. It wasn't like a life-threatening wound where she was dead. That was that. It was a good book. Of course, there's always one more plot twist and epilogue. Who the heck was Amanda? He had borrowed some money from some loan sharks, to pay off her debt because her mother was dying of cancer. And long story short, her mom died. She owed the people the money. She could not pay them back. So she had to skip town with a new identity. Blake, he was just so like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that again. He just have this really soft spot for her. From the moment he met her and was offering to give her products and stuff for free, he had a soft spot for her. So at the end, he was saying like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, I'll pay off your debt. Because at this point, Blake has gotten his job back and he has some interviews that he's gone on and things of that nature. So he was willing to pay off her debt of the loan shark. So she was kind of like, I should be okay. But the true reality was it was gambling debt. So who knows? She's a scammer. Like, how would you trust someone, Blake, that has a fake identity? Like, you're really just gonna take her word for it? Well, he did, and it just seems as if she's gonna probably end up getting the money from her interviews and book deals and stuff, plus the money from Blake, and I don't know. He's just going to be taking advantage of again. But yeah, that was my take on the Tenants. I hope you guys truly enjoyed this video. Be on the lookout for my next video where I talk about even more reads and authors. Bye.